Friends and enemies, welcome back to the CBP this week. Len, are you a big fan of this 10 a.m. slam lawsuit against Jane Street? I know I am. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the Netherlands backing off of their wealth tax proposal. We're going to talk about Iran. We have to. And a number of other big stories in the Bitcoin world coming up this week on the Canadian Bitcoiners podcast. Hang in.
And so, the government can say whatever they want about this thing not competing. It's for black market only. It's for this, for that. But they're really treating it like a threat. And one of the things that can't be attacked is your self-custody Bitcoin. And one of the things that can be attacked is the ETF. Can't be exposed to that. That's my view. It's not a good idea. And by the way, that'll hit MSTR too. It'll probably hit other stuff as well.
Friends and enemies, welcome back. Canadian Bitcoiners podcast.
Friends and enemies, welcome to the CBP. Want to be better informed? Listen to Len and Joey. Sponsors taken care of right off the top. Bull Bitcoin and easy DNS. The media is feeding the slop.
Well, I mean, everybody wants to know one thing, okay? How was your NHL 94 tournament on the weekend?
Did not happen. I was off by a week. It was a week before. Yeah. They're having one in March. So I'm going to go invade that one and see what happens. But yeah, I missed it by a week.
That is horrendous.
Sad, very sad.
Your camera looks frozen on my screen. I don't know if it's just StreamYard or if it's the stream or whatever, but
I will disappear and come back then.
Okay. Okay. I don't know if if it's just a me thing or not, but we'll find out. Len is going to come right back. We'll do the sponsors in the meantime. Then we'll get into the usual content here. EasyDNS. Mark and his friends and teammates and colleagues and employees over at EasyDNS have been friends of the show for many years. And we encourage you, if you're looking for registrar work, to go to EasyDNS. What does that mean? If you want to buy a website, port a website, you want to do some hosting, you want to do some virtual private server stuff, if you're a Bitcoiner, so Nostr relays, Bitcoin nodes, you name it, Mark's got your back. He also has a couple of different services available for you. A domain share to help you keep your stuff safe, your client stuff safe, your mailing list, all that good stuff. Only on EasyDNS can you get white glove service for the cost of no frills shopping, which is what we like on this show. So go over if you haven't already. CBP Media is the code. You get 50% off your first round of buys. You cannot beat that. I guarantee it. Len, who's the other sponsor?
Bull Bitcoin, my friend. Bull Bitcoin, a great place to buy. A lot of people are buying given the price of Bitcoin has gone up today. So that's driving up the price. And hopefully they're using Bull Bitcoin to do that. And if you want to sell, you could also use Bull Bitcoin to do that as well. You could do it with on-chain when fees are low and fees are high. You could use something like Lightning. Fees are still very low, though. Why would you want to use anything else at this particular moment? Bull Bitcoin, because it's non-custodial. This is what you prefer to have in an exchange. You don't want somebody to hold onto your Bitcoin. In order to do a buy, you got to provide a Bitcoin address. What other exchange allows you that? Like, they will not send you Bitcoin. They will not let you buy a Bitcoin without providing a Bitcoin address. It doesn't have to be a real address. It could be a fake one, but you're just wasting your money if you do that. But that's what I'm talking about, Bull Bitcoin. They just want to make sure that you will not get rugged by them. They try very hard to make sure that you are taken care of. They also provide excellent service. So if you need some help with setting up a cold card or learning the process, just ask them. They'll be able to set aside some time for you and help you out, just usher you away to become a sovereign Bitcoiner. You could do some limit orders. You could do so many different things over there. Pay your bills. You can send money to your friends using Bitcoin and ending up in their account. Lots of different options. Check them out. Use our link below if you haven't already signed up for them. If you haven't, what the hell are you waiting for? Do it now.
Love it, man. Love it. Let's do some housekeeping, maybe first and foremost. I don't have anything to say this week about housekeeping, really. The Doomberg episode continues to garner plays. It's now our most popular video ever posted, which is nice. Scott Horton and I will be talking this Thursday. You might remember I had to put it off because there was a bit of a hang up on their end with scheduling. No big deal. And couldn't have asked for better timing for worse reasons. With the Iran war now going on and all this other stuff, Scott's he's a very, I mean, this is an understatement. If you know Scott Horton at all, you'll know that saying that he's very well read and understands the history of American empire is just underselling him like you would not believe. But you really need to listen to some of his stuff. He was on Tucker Carlson last year for several hours talking about some of the history of American wars and why, generally speaking, the Ukraine-Russia conflict was one that was instigated by NATO, among others. So yeah, it's going to be a great interview. We're going to talk to him for about an hour. And then next Thursday night, I will be speaking to Francis Pouliot for I don't know, a while. And as I mentioned last time, we spoke about interviews. At least some of the interviews now, if not all of them, will be pre-recorded, edited up for you guys, and then released on a separate day, just so we get first of all as much algorithmic help as we can get, but also you get a little bit more of a boost when you have stuff like, you know, that early video hook and some of the highlights baked in. So we have someone on the staff here to do that now, which is great. I don't think I have anything else. If you want to do boost, then we can get right into it.
We only have one boost to talk about.
What's wrong with you guys? What was it?
I don't know.
Everyone's buying, can't afford the meat anymore. They get holding back the $2 they send us.
What the heck? I don't get it. Anyways, Hammertown OG 2,500 sats. He says, more great information. You guys are a wealth of knowledge for new Bitcoiners. Thanks for bringing each and every scamming story to the forefront. Even if it seems repetitive, your reporting is helping people learn the costly lessons of those who were careless. When new Bitcoiners approach me for information and tips, I point them to this show. Keep cranking out the hits. Very nice. Thank you very much for the kind words.
Very much appreciate that. Len always does a bang up job getting like the most like stuff I've never seen. A lot of it's
repetitive.
Yeah, but stuff I've never seen.
I just want to make sure. Yeah. Drive that fucking point home.
Yeah, man. Gotta hit it. People are getting scammed every week. We don't want it to be a CBP listener, so better we talk about it, even if it's a little bit redundant, than just to leave you to your own devices, right? Don't want that. Yep.
Yeah, the only way to learn is not the only way. The most cost-effective way to learn is learn from somebody else.
Is someone else. Exactly. Yeah.
Let them make the mistake, and you learn what mistake they made, and you try not to repeat what they've done. And then that way, man. They've done they paid the price, and you just, they paid tuition. You got free education as a result. To me, that's the best way to do things. You don't want to learn it yourself and get burned in the process. Yeah, it's very effective, but man, it's very costly.
Yeah, very effective. It's safe. Really is. It's safe and effective. No, it's just effective.
Yeah,
that's what you don't want.
It's not as effective of fucking dumping Bitcoin every 10 a.m. though.
Can you believe this story? By the way, like this is crazy. Zero Hedge has been saying this for years, literal years, and I didn't really look into it until like a year ago. Maybe I looked into it for the first time. I didn't look into it enough to know it was Jane Street or that they had this thing nailed down. I didn't know anything about the authorized participant thing until last week. And this is, to me, the wildest story in Bitcoin.
I think, by the way, there's a lot of similarities in our thinking here.
Okay, go. Do you want to do the summary? Do the summary like you always do. I got
there's much of a summary to be done. I think it's more of a discussion more than anything else, because this is huge news, right? So the fact that these guys apparently are manipulating markets.
It's not even apparently. I think it's like this is like a fact. It's a fact.
If you look at 100%, because if you look at the chart, a lot of people are saying that there seems to be something synthetic here. If you're looking at what happens, and it's a cyclical thing, it just happens. Sunday night, another fucking dump. What the fuck happened?
10 a.m. slam, man. 10 a.m. slam. So the way they can do it is that it authorized participants, and these guys are one of the 4 original authorized participants in the ETF, in the IBIT ETF. So the big money ETF, the BlackRock spot ETF for Bitcoin, they're an authorized participant. What does that mean? It means that they buy and sell spot to match the price of Bitcoin and keep the ETF in balance with the spot price. Okay. So
and there's a lack of reporting.
That's right.
Needed. They don't have to report.
That's exactly right.
Information. I guess they can if they want.
Nor their methods.
So
when they rebalance, so that when they rebalance, they can take the other side of the trade in a derivatives hedge. So they can go. That is to say, basically, if they know they're going to sell to rebalance at 10 a.m., they can go short once the market has that sort of. Once the market has been open for a while and the books are a little deeper than they would be at 9 or they would be on the weekend or they would be overnight, you get that 10 a.m. Eastern. If you can go short on that, you're really doing well. Now, Zero Hedge, I just want to point out, this is not a sure thing. Okay. It's still an allegation. It's like a 90% allegation. Like I said last week on Bitcast there with the boys on Ben Sessions' show, it's like 90%. But the thing is that as time goes on, the truth really becomes evident in the absence of the price declines. So, for example,
as soon as the story came out, what the hell happened?
The next day, 10% jump. The next day, 10% jump.
Right. You didn't see that fucking movement. It's like,
no.
What the fuck?
You know what's even a better indicator, though, Len? There was a war that broke out over the weekend. The price didn't drop. Like it dropped for like an hour, 2 hours, something like that in the middle of the night, and then rebounded and now is up, I think, since Friday. So you look at these things together, and again, well, you can't say for sure that this is, it was 100% a rigged game and Jane Street was on this. It sure looks like there was a role to play for them in terms of the price decline. And by the way, even if there wasn't, even if it was somebody else involved in this, because the lawsuit they're under is not related to the 10 a.m. slam, it's related to Terra. But it's a warning shot to anyone who might be doing this, any other authorized participants who might be trying to do this. Like, hey, we are watching the price action in these tokens. We are watching the patterns in that price action. And if we think that you're playing a role in tainting the purity of God's free markets in America, around the world, we're going to come for you. And
you see the Trump media, they sent a letter to Congress.
About what?
Apparently they're asking or demanding an investigation into Jane Street instead of
they ought
due
to
naked short selling. But
yeah,
that's due to more of a
Citadel. I mean, Citadel has put out so much research over the years, and how you may remember Citadel from the GameStop bonanza, boondoggle, whatever you want to call it, from 2021. These guys, I tore up in the chat, putting it the best way you can. Fiat freaks gonna fiat, man. Like, that's just what they do. They don't know anything but these games. And I'll tell you one other thing, Len. This will tickle your jimmies a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what makes this difficult to do is when people self-custody, because you can only play paper games with stuff that's not in cold storage. You can't play paper games with the stuff that's on my cold card. Yeah, it's very difficult. And so you can't. These guys, the reason they're able to do this and run derivatives games on top of their authorized participant status and not report any of it and not disclose their methods is because people have coin that is on exchanges, in ETFs, blah, blah, blah. So the more you take custody of your coins, the more you take advantage of physical redemption, the more difficult this sort of thing becomes. So if you like the price action, war breaks out in Iran, war breaks out in Israel, there's talk of rates now being held steady instead of being cut in the States thanks to this war. You're seeing energy prices start to tick up. All these things that would normally lead to a Bitcoin decline, you didn't get it. You're flat. You're basically flat. It's a good thing. And like I said, I think since Friday you're up. Certainly since the beginning of last week, you are up.
Do you know that they were
mid-60s.
One time these goons were fined by Indian authorities?
Wow, if Indians even getting after you, India.
Apparently, they were doing algorithmic market manipulation over there.
Shocker.
And they were tied. That was within the past 6 years. Also, Nasdaq fined them a token $25,000 last year because they were doing. I don't understand what the fuck what was going on, but there were some irregularities within the system. So
I mean, you can't have any doubts that the guys who are running, again, not to go too deep into the Terra lawsuit, but the guys who are running a scam in a Telegram chat called Bryce's Secret. Like, if that's the scam you're running, chances are you're not that sophisticated an actor. And so
how come we didn't get in this? The Bryce Pratt's
I don't know where I don't know where I'm supposed to be. Like, how many Discords do I have to join before I get the Bryce's Secret invite? Right. I'm in a bunch of them. I'm trying to get in front of new NFTs. I'm trying to get in front of new IPOs. I'm trying to get in front of all sorts of stuff. I'm buying fake passports to sell. I'm buying fake IDs to sell. I can't get it. I'm on the outside looking in, man. I'm the limited hangout guy.
We all are, Joey. That's why we're here Bitcoining and just putting it in our cold storage, because by doing that, you're as you mentioned, you're free from this manipulation. You're not being a part of it, and whatever happens, it's there are a lot of things we can't take control of. They just happen regardless. We could think a certain way, we could will certain, just doesn't happen. They just happen because there's so many things going on, a lot of levers being pulled, strings being tugged, and we're just part of the ride. I'm gonna keep buying. Fuck, this doesn't deter me from buying, and I don't think the same with you, right? Like you're probably more convicted.
I run a buy every day. I am starting to take payment for certain things in Bitcoin. Like, I'm all in on this. My conviction has never been.
Well, if you got this though, would you trade this for
the Singapore dollar for those on audio? I mean, we continue to use that as a prop. It's we've really gotten our money's worth out of that. No pun intended. Yeah,
I love this thing.
What's David St. Ange going to come to the conference with this year? Has there been any other currency failures in the last 12 months? He gave out a few Venezuelan bolivars last year.
No,
I wonder what
years
he's going to give
ago.
out. He gave them out last year too.
Okay.
A couple of the
because one time-
TradFi guys at that conference, by the way, like friend of the show, Rich Diaz, who's actually a friend of mine, like he's a buddy. Dave came by and was like talking to me and introduced himself to Rich, and he said, "Here, you should have this." Rich loved it. The finance guys love talking failed currencies. It's one thing, even if they don't agree on Bitcoin, we all love talking about the failures of Keynesian economics. It's nothing better on a Saturday morning, 9 a.m.
I carry it in my wallet.
That's good. Good reminder. Yeah.
It's not just that, it's a talking point as well.
Yeah.
I like to bring it up to anybody that would listen to me. Since I don't leave the house, nobody listens to me whatsoever. But when I do, I do bring it up as much as possible. And I think it's a great talking point, and it's a good indication like why it is you don't want to keep any of your wealth tied to this.
Yeah.
Because if you do, it could turn into.
Buddy, I think you're right. I think you're right. I really have no areas of disagreement with you on that. You know what else is funny too about this whole Jane Street thing? It's funny that people who are not in Bitcoin continue to say that Bitcoin's price is manipulated by Tether, right? You always hear Bitcoin's price is being manipulated to the upside by all these guys, whether it's, the Peter Schiffs or the Mike Greens or you name it. There's a number of different sort of players in the macro space. I even think Kevin Muir, who's another friend of mine, friend of the show, over beers a couple of weeks ago was saying that he, was worried about Tether being the thing. I don't think those guys are, necessarily bad actors or dishonest for thinking that, but it's funny to me that the most vocal guys about Tether are quiet when the Jane Street 10 a.m. slam disappears from the daily trading volume and traffic. Isn't that weird? These guys, they always want to talk about how the price is manipulated up, never want to talk about how the price is being manipulated the other way, which to me it's telling. It's telling. I'll just leave it at that.
You don't think that? Do you have any inkling that Tether's doing any sort of price manipulation at all? I have no idea.
No,
I don't have enough information.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I mean, Len, they're making a ton of money over there, and whether it's buying gold, buying bonds, buying Bitcoin, the thing is that even if you think the Tether is fake, the profits, they're buying hard assets with the profits, so the money's coming from somewhere. And to me, it's obvious that that whole operation is just really well run.
It could still be a house of cards, though.
Just a little bit. I mean, it's possible, but let's face it. Okay,
there were banks in the past making money, but they went
how many ups and downs have these guys been through now? 5, 6. Like they've been around, and the U.S. regulators are a pretty tough bunch, especially when it comes to crypto companies. I don't imagine they'd get that, even though it's wrapped in the illustrious veneer of the 21 brand and Lutnick and Mallers and those guys. I don't think they get into that deal if regulators are not getting a pretty good look at their books.
Well, they're getting into the good books of these people because there's that specific, I forget the name of it. It's not a US dollar Tether, but it is a stable coin that is supposed to operate within the confines of the United States country, and then it is adheres to the laws over there because they're backed specifically by liquid assets and shit like that. So they're allowing that. They almost gave it a blessing, that and USDC, sorry, as the two stable coins that they'll let operate within the United States. So the fact that they gave them the ability to do that, I think it's a telling sign that they like what they're doing, or they're at least confident what you're doing, that but who the fuck knows? With respect to manipulation of the price, I have no idea if they're doing it. I hear that all the fucking time, but I have no idea if it's happening or not because I don't have enough information. I could speculate, but speculation gets me fucking nowhere. Right? Like it's I'm throwing darts against the fucking board here.
It's a fool's game to rip that kind of thing, right? Yeah.
And like more bullshit like from all this too. I mean, you mentioned the Iran thing. I just really quickly want to mention there's been a lot of FUD going on. Oh, Bitcoin mining is going to take a real hit here because what is it? Something like up to 5% of Bitcoin mining comes from Iran, and now that these energy arbitrage
really are just outing themselves as clueless, aren't they? Over and over again about this. That top mining, the mining topic especially is a frustrating one for me.
It's not like we had a 15% drop or 15% drop a few weeks ago because they had to turn off miners and divert energy to heat homes. that wasn't a catastrophic event for Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining as a whole.
Yeah.
Look, we had a huge drop 4 years ago when China banned Bitcoin mining again.
Yeah.
What the fuck happened? It just took, some
everyone
time,
everyone knows it's not going away. And I'm just, I don't have a lot of time for these guys. I actually said at Mike Campbell's conference that it's becoming really hard to just engage with people who are making lazy, over and over again, disproven arguments about mining, about this thing's going to zero, about, you name it. There's 100 different theories out there from people who don't own Bitcoin, have no interest in Bitcoin outside of watching it decline, and oftentimes have a vested interest in seeing the price go down and the network become, the network viewed more and more as like illegitimate or fragile or whatever. There's no point in engaging with these people, even though, it's funny. Bitcoin, unlike many other assets, does bring out the worst in people a lot of times. Like when we drop from 125 to 60, the number of people who are willing to show their ass trying to dance on the Bitcoin grave you don't see this in any other asset. Real estate, maybe you see guys saying, I told you this was a bubble, blah, blah, blah. But you very rarely see it anywhere else. And Bitcoin, oh my God, you're down 20, 30%. Guys are coming out. They're ready to kick you when you're down, spit on your grave. And meanwhile, the rest of us are just what's that meme, James Franco, first time? We've seen this a bunch. It's not the first drop. It's not going to be the last drop. But, it's all about whether or not you have the mental fortitude to hang in and stack. The frustrating thing is you look at all the different elements of the environment that you're in now compared to the last 50% drop. And we're way far afield here from Iran and Jane Street, but it bears repeating. This is the easiest 50% drop you'll ever buy in Bitcoin until the next one. They're just the environment and the elements of legality and these things, they're all trending in our favor. And people are still saying it's going to zero. I can't help you, man. I can't help you. I wish that you would buy it. I want you to buy it. Bitcoin is one of the very few assets that I try and tell people to buy, even though it really does nothing for me. You buying doesn't move my bags, I think I said this before. The only other place you see that is a Catholic confession booth. The priest wants you to repent. He doesn't get anything out of it. That's how I feel sometimes. I'm not getting anything out of you buying. I hope you buy. I hope you turn into a time preference aficionado, but if you don't, that's no skin off my back either. I just want to see you succeed. That's all.
Another thing that is it's out there that you have to put into the recipe is there's a kind of civil war that's going on within Bitcoin, right? And that I'm not sure if that's helping things out. It's muddying the waters more than anything else.
You think it's a civil war? A strong word from you there.
Well, you have these two camps that are entrenched, right? There are a lot of people in the middle that just, I think I'm part of that in the middle, that I'm just watching all this shit. I'm not siding on one or the other, but you have a lot of people out there that are siding on one side or another. And, the result from this, I think it's not going to be the best. Let's just say that is if I can't see a way that everybody's going to walk away happy. If there's not enough miner signaling, then not enough node signaling, these guys have egg on their face.
Yeah.
If somehow a miracle happens that miners signal, which they probably won't, or enough nodes signal that they probably want to have this, you then have the potential for a chain split, and that's obviously not going to be good for Bitcoin. So I can't see a scenario that this resolves itself and you have people walking away and everybody say, yeah, this was a good result. You're going to have some people up there that are just going to be pissed, and they're going to, I don't know, they're going to have to transition to something else, I think. How could Luke continue to work with Bitcoin if this thing doesn't?
He's cashing in so many chips.
But
he's cashing in so many chips, though.
Something seems, it just doesn't seem right there. And not just him, there's also a bunch of other people. I get it. The fucking spam is garbage. You want to have monetary transactions, but the way it's framework, the framework that this is set up, and you could just see there's a potential split, chain split for this, and that is not going to be. I don't think that's going to be good for Bitcoin as a whole. But that's what we have to deal with. We have this going on for the next 6 months or so.
So you think chain split potential still, eh? I mean, I see this a bunch. I think we've probably talked about it on the show. I continue to think that we're probably not going to see a chain split because if anything, something else will come up that takes the air out of this and forces people to kind of align in terms of their priorities, and it will move away from this particular issue.
Well, if not enough power gets associated with this, there's no chance for a chain split.
So who does BlackRock want to win? Right? Is that the question we should be asking? Maybe
no, I'm looking at the miners and the nodes.
Right? I know what you're saying, but I mean, these guys have they have more influence now than they used to have.
The good thing about the prospectus for BlackRock is they get to choose which is the Bitcoin they want to follow.
Yeah.
And then whatever coin that they have on the side as a result of this, they could dump it and make the profits from that. Right? Like if you think about this as theoretically, there's a chain split. You got two different coins.
Which fulcrum is gonna be the thing that does a chain split?
The only thing that would trigger it, I would think, is you have miners building blocks.
No, I know that. I know the mechanism, but what is the issue, you think? Like BIP 110? Do you think it's going to be? Yeah, okay.
That's it. You have miners building blocks that are BIP 110 compliant, and miners building blocks that are not BIP 110 compliant, as we have right now. And then you'd have a miner that would include stuff that would be not compliant with BIP 110, and BIP 110 would just reject it altogether. So you'd have two different chains going, and if there's enough hash power on each of the two, then you could have two different chains then build out as a result of that, because one would just reject new blocks that are compliant right now, and the other one wouldn't.
Yeah.
So that's what would happen then is theoretically BlackRock would then have access to both coins, and they'll say, you know what, I'm going to pick this one as the Bitcoin. The other one they'll sell it, they'll make a gain as a result of that. You're not going to make it because that's not part of the agreement you have with BlackRock or any other ETF holder. You're just having them hold on to one coin or whatever it may be. Multiple, they get the benefits of that. Any sort of chain split or anything, they get it all. They get all that shit. So good for them.
Yeah, BIP 110 is an ongoing debate. I have been I've been the more vocal on this show about quantum and the risks of quantum and this type of thing. So, I think that's going to be the wedge issue for a lot of people, because I think there's still people that view quantum as like a 20-year problem when I think it's actually closer to like a 5-year problem. And, without going into the nitty gritty, there's going to be a time soon where most people, I think, will just understand and accept that even if you view it as a 10 or 20-year problem and not as a 5-year problem, it's best to start addressing this stuff now. And that's where the attention will go. Don't forget, one of the benefits of the asset is that we're difficult to move. We're not agile, but it's a good thing, 90% of the time. This is one of those 10% times, though, that it might be a good idea to start thinking about this.
Corey from Swan talked about this, and he was saying, as long as you follow these rules, you're going to be protected from quantum, right? And right now, as long as you're not reusing
addresses,
shit like that. Taproot thing, so you know what? Once this thing comes live, you can just move your coin around, make sure that you're safe, and then there's not much pivoting you have to do. The people that don't move their coin around or lost access to it, if that gets, that's part of it.
Do you have any feelings about the Satoshi coins?
You know what? If
Bounty,
by chance
Bounty, yeah.
Who cares, man? If they want to get picked up, if they could get somehow hacked as a result, if they want to spend that much time and effort with this fictional quantum shit to just to get
fictional, he says. Okay.
Well, right. I mean, right? Like, until I see this happen, it's not a reality yet.
You're not a superposition enjoyer, no?
I don't even know what that is. But probably not.
Okay, you're not a qubit enjoyer, no?
So until I see them divert all those resources towards trying to get Bitcoin, when there could be a whole bunch of other things you could do, curing cancer or the nuclear code, shit like that. There's a lot of other things you could use with this to try to So, but if they wanted to use it to get Satoshi's coins, all the more power to them. And as soon as you see them move, then you know what? Something's happened. Maybe time for me to react with my coins and move it around. Look, if you haven't moved your coins for 15 fucking years,
Yeah, you're not
right?
gonna
Like
move now.
it's free. Whatever happens at that point. If I guess the words for that, right? Or if I somehow get the keys to that coin, like if I somehow get those keys, it's mine, man. Are you gonna say it's not mine? It's mine. Fuck you.
Let's move on. That's the final word on that.
Is there? No, let's talk about knots then.
Here we go. Great.
No, let's not talk about knots physically. Let's talk about Core, because knots is picking up steam, but Core does continue to do work for their client software, and version 31 is going to be coming out in the next 2 months or so. I think it's April-ish. It's due for release. When that does, that's going to make version 28 obsolete, or at least obsolete, maybe not the right word. It will no longer be maintained, so security updates and shit won't be provided for versions 28 and older. Anyways, version 31 comes with a few interesting things. Like there's improvements to transactions for privates and silent payments. The one is I find interesting. There's going to be protections against eclipse attacks, and it's it's a good idea, but until you read that, you have to use different outbound connections in order to make this truly work. So you have to use connections for IPv4, IPv6, Tor, I2P, and so
this is
people
way above my pay grade. Yeah, way above my pay grade.
The way that you have to use multiple outbound connections on multiple different protocols, and that way it will help you from protecting from an eclipse attack. I don't know. I mean, I use primarily just only Tor in mine, so this won't impact me. So anyways, they also say that it'll also make use of the version V2 transport protocol, and that allows for encrypting of data. So that's going to be harder for an eclipse attack. So that's going to at least be effective, and it's going to be better interfacing for Stratum V2 mining and shit like that. But the one thing I think that is the best thing about this all, anybody that's doing a IBD initial block download, they know that it takes for fucking ever once you get to 2023, once the ordinals and all that bullshit comes into reality. They say that the IBD is going to be much more, it will be better. I don't want to say much better. It will be improved on multi-core systems. And who the fuck doesn't have a multi-core system? So I think that's pretty cool. I hope this bleeds into knots in the not too distant future. Too bad they still are sticking with that fuckload of up return shit. They should have reduced that, but it is what it is. You know what? Everybody has an option what they want to run.
Yeah, are you on 28? You're on 28, right?
I am on 28, so that's going to be soon. I'm going to have to move over to 29, and then eventually got to figure out what to do, as I don't want to go to 30. But I got to figure this out. Maybe I'll just edit the fucking code and just reduce the up return side. I want to how it work and just compile it.
There's a lot of smart people working on making it easier to not deal with the spam. So you're in good company there. I personally think that probably, like, for the Eclipse stuff, I would guess almost no one is going to actually use that functionality.
No, it's going to be baked in.
But you have to. It sounds like you have to change your outbounds manually.
I change my outbounds manually, so I only use Tor.
Okay.
So I think it's going to do it automatically on the fly. I don't know for certain.
I mean, we'll find out soon, I guess. But
yeah. So I mean, that's good, because obviously you got better protection of the nodes and whatnot.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong. Like, again, one of the things I think we both agree on, even if we disagree on what the recommendation is from time to time, you know what Bitcoin does well is optionality. Because of the backwards compatibility, you get to pick and choose the things that work for you, the things you like to use, the things you want to use. And if you don't want to use any of it, you can just go with your cold card and Sparrow and, fly like the wind. My son. That's all you need.
And on top of that, it being open source, you could change whatever you want, then recompile it.
Yeah.
We'll compile it and then do what you want. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. So totally, man.
The Czech Republic president, he signed into law essentially exempting capital gains taxes on Bitcoin if it's held for 3+ years.
Great.
And this was signed into law this past week. And this only applies to the first 1.7 million of profit per year. Mm-hmm. So only that is tax exempt. Anything above that is going to be taxed at the rate of 15 or 23%. So anybody's at the huge roller, big roller out there, you're gonna, you can't be in the Czech Republic and avoid that. Furthermore, those using Bitcoin won't be forced to report transactions valued at less than 4,100 USD. I notice I'm using USD, so it's more of a local currency. I'm just converting it to USD for just sake of argument here.
Yeah.
And so they have this. We have the Czech Republic National Bank. They approved a proposal. They look like they're going to be examining buying Bitcoin and adding it to their allocation of things. Right now the reserves sit at $146 billion, and they say that 5% could be used to allocate in other things, including Bitcoin. Not to say they will do it. They're looking into this. This is something that is being done. So Czech Republic seems to be moving very quickly to becoming very Bitcoin friendly. Very cool stuff.
They're a good company there too. There's a number of other countries thinking about doing the same thing, treasury reserve assets type stuff, which is great.
But not all this is rosy, because there could be, this could be undone one day. Middle of last year, we had the Ministry of Justice. There was some scandal going on there to the tune of around 468 Bitcoin that was donated to them from, it looks like, some criminals, a money laundering scheme, all this. The Justice Minister resigned from his post, right? So now there's a connection here, Bitcoin, money laundering, and all this shit. So you have this in the back of people's heads. So also the current finance minister he said he's not on board with the central bank doing anything with Bitcoin. But you know what? Here we are. This is, things could change, but at the very least, Czech Republic seems to be taking a step in the right direction. We'll see what happens. It's in Europe. So I'm not going to hold my breath, right?
Europe is like as crazy as it's ever been.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Both on the leadership side and on the war side and the conflict side and the relationships with America side. It's not a place where you're going to find a lot of stability. And I think regardless of what you think about Bitcoin, what is the cure for potentially having these permanent measures made temporary by your political opponents after the next election? The mechanism through which you can protect yourself from that is number go up. Nobody wants to see a number go up asset removed from a treasury balance, right? So we'll see what happens with the price over the next year or two. I mean, we expect it to be higher, of course, but how much higher does it need to be that the gains in the treasury outstrip the gains politically by, reversing the policies of your enemies? I don't know. Well, that remains to be seen. We've never been through this before. It's a new territory for Bitcoin, I think.
I could tell you something else that won't go up is the workforce of Block. That's going to be going down.
Man.
I'm going to try reading this in lowercase font for people out there. So try
just
your
quietly,
best to digest
quietly,
this. So
Claude,
Block
write me a layoff tweet. Make no mistakes. And write it for millennials and Zoomers, all lowercase.
Yeah, so the workforce, it's shrinking like somebody's going into the pool, the very cold water, and suffer some shrinkage there. 10,000 strong, going down to around 6,000 folks. So 4,000 people are going to be given, or already have been given, the pink slip. And they're going to be more streamlined, and you're going to be using AI to make the company more competitive. And the market absolutely loved this decision, because the reaction from that was the share price went up quite a bit at the news. So apparently, people love to hear this for whatever reason. But just a heads up. So if that news made that company more valuable, the CBP, we're going to continue to downsize our force. There's going to be a couple of AI people doing this fucking show next week. And maybe it'll get me to my stacking goal of 0.1 Bitcoin much sooner. And maybe we'll become very, very rich as a result. So who knows? Block's AI first initiative here.
Yeah.
It's a huge shift for a big company, right?
I don't think it's like the silver bullet that they're saying it is. Block, it's interesting, right? Block has had, as I recline in my chair, Block has had a couple of really good years in a row. And most of the time when you have a couple of really good years in a row, you expect to see, changes in staffing, but not necessarily the changes that they've undertaken. You might expect to see some growth, or adding new products, or adding new streams for products or something like that. But what we're seeing here instead is Dorsey going, okay, well, we've had a couple of good quarters, and what we're going to do is fire 40% of our workforce, bring us back to 2020. So it was actually pre-COVID levels, pre-pandemic levels, and raise guidance. Street loves it, obviously, but the big question mark for me, as someone who uses AI every day for tons of stuff, the question for me is whether or not you think your company is actually going to be able to run on half the staff and, ostensibly replace that production with AI. I think there's probably two things that are true here. The first thing is that he knows he way overstaffed. So that 40%, when people are questioning him, like I just did, about, well, how much of that productivity are you going to be able to replace with Claude or whatever? The answer is not 40%. And he knows he doesn't actually need to replace 40% because he was overburdened with employees before that. Okay. That's problem number one. Problem number two, though, is I think a more significant one. And it's that this tech is really cutting edge in a lot of ways. I look at my own use and I'm not a power user of this stuff, but I'm working on getting better at it. And I'm amazed by what it can do, but I'm also amazed at how long it takes to really get an output you're comfortable with and how much steering a quote unquote autonomous AI needs to get something done. I'll give you an example. When we do research for this show, you send me the stories and most of the stuff I already know, but if I want to go deeper on something, I get the chatbot to do it. Give me a research report here. And I want to see some data on some of these, some of the claims that are in this tweet or this story or whatever. Like, where are they getting this from? Occasionally it runs and does a pretty good job. Maybe 5 or 6 minutes will go by. It'll give me the stuff I'm looking for and some visualizations. And I can see, where the data was pulled from and it's there and great. But man, 20% of the time it gets it wrong. And so I'm not running a company like Block, which by the way does payments, Bitcoin stuff, mining, hardware wallets.
Yeah, BitKey, Tidal. I didn't even fucking hear about that. Maybe that's going to get the cut.
So he says that, as far as like the AI tools doing the work, he says that 90% of the code written at Block now is done by AI first. So, presumably you have like senior engineers or whatever, reviewing it. I'm not sure. I want to point out this comment that just came through in the chat from Claude. Watched a video last night of a guy setting up a Bitcoin wallet with OpenClaw AI agent and started transacting with other AI agents. It's happening fast. No bank is going to open a bank account. I'm not saying that this is not the case, that AI can't do certain things really well, but it's one thing to do it on your desktop. It's another thing to do it for your billion-dollar company.
Well, what did Elon Musk do with X?
He cut back staff quite a bit, but I mean, everyone saw the staff at that place. Like,
right.
These
Amazon,
guys, and Amazon, same thing. Like, you don't
Apple,
need
Microsoft.
So this is sort of the point I was making with the first criticism, is that when people are saying, well, how's he going to replace the productivity of 40,000 or 40% of his staff? Like, he's not. He doesn't need to.
We don't know. See, there's a lot we just don't know, and the reason why we don't is because we don't have all the information. What I do know, and you pointed it out, is that they're now back to
2020, I think. Yeah.
So post-pandemic, they were aggressively hiring. In fact, from what I could tell, their hiring was very aggressive in the past year and a half.
Yeah.
So whatever it is, last year and a half, they grew tremendously in terms of their workforce. This is unique in the fact that they're doing this massive cut. The company is doing well. It's reporting profits and it's reporting healthy profits. It's not like it's a company that is just bleeding money and it's a
far
shitty
from
company.
it. Yeah,
they're doing well. Now they have to come out and say, look, we're doing well. I think with this move, we're going to do even better. It might work. It might not work. Time will tell. Like, it's not like we had Klarna, Fiverr. Or is that, did I pronounce that right? They fucking did the same thing. They
Fiverr, really?
They reduced their workforce and went with.
Are they? I didn't even know they were publicly traded. Are they publicly traded?
I don't know if they're publicly traded, but I do know that they announced that they've done that. And so you have those companies, but they're nowhere on the same level as Block. Like, Block is a different level. But the people that got laid off, I mean, what do they do now? Now you have added to the 30,000 employees from Microsoft, combined Microsoft and Amazon, that were laid off last year, and all these other places. There's a glut of these technical staff or former technical that's just looking for employment, and you can't just give them 1 year of ChatGPT. Here you go, use this, and this going away present. Something has to be done. These people, like it's a lot of people, like taxpayers. It sucks for them, but you know what? Block, if they can make this work, if they could make this an effective, essentially make it a more profitable company with a less, other companies are going to follow suit.
It's proven to be
if they
effective
could do it.
Yeah, it's proven to be effective as far as the market's concerned. Like you mentioned there, I think it was 24% after hours, 17% the next day too, like continued to run. So people like the idea. The question I have for those people who want to buy the stock, you know, at 41% premium compared to what it was the day before. My question to those people is, what company can you point to that laid off a bunch of staff and went to AI? As opposed to just laying off a bunch of staff and streamlining. For example, you don't need, you know, the DEI crew at Twitter, right? You didn't need that. You didn't need that woman who was on the Brogan podcast getting fucking pasted by Joe Rogan and Tim Pool about censorship. Like, she's obviously retarded. You don't need that woman at $250,000 a year or whatever she's making, right? You don't need her. You don't need people to be on the safety and community team taking down tweets where someone posts a meme about Joe Biden online or says that he's incompetent or that he's a vegetable. Like, that guy, you don't need a team to review those things. So if you want to save $1 million getting rid of those 10 people, it's easy because you're not replacing them with technology that, I hate to say it, is unproven, broadly unproven. So like, that's the thing I would ask people is, what company are you looking at that's done a cut like this, replaced with AI and still been a powerhouse? Maybe
we don't have any examples to go off. This is
just want to know, by the way, who overstaffed the shit out of Twitter and then left as well. Who was that? It was Dorsey. So, you know, the company we're talking about, he's already done this once. It didn't go that well. So I'm not 100% sure if this is where I want to be putting a bunch of money, to be perfectly honest.
There's only one.
All of my good buddies are invested in this company heavy too.
This is the only place you park your
Singapore,
money.
POR dollar.
Yeah. Singapore dollar, baby.
Yeah.
Citibank, they want to hold on to your Bitcoin.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Not actually your Bitcoin. They want to hold institutional clients' Bitcoin and make Bitcoin bankable. That's what they say. The announcement came this past week that they're going to launch by the end of this year a Bitcoin custody service, as well as integration infrastructure for institutional clients. And one of the big boys offering up Bitcoin services to their bigger customers. People say Bitcoin's worthless. Citibank, I think, disagrees with that sentiment. And you have now clients out there, they want people to give up their Bitcoin and want Citi to hold on to the keys. Why?
Yeah.
Because everybody knows remembering 12 fucking words is a pain in the ass. That's why Citi's there to do it for you. They know that you're a fucking idiot. You can't remember 12 words, but they can. And they'll do it just for you. Baby.
Yeah, I mean,
you're fucking too dumb to remember it.
It's deeper than that.
Fuck it. That's it. I don't get it. It's more fiat level bullshit. Fuck it all, man.
It's deeper than that.
Do it.
SAB 121 was rescinded, right? So SAB 121 was the law. I think it's 2 years old now. I guess it's 26, so maybe 3 years old now. That basically said to hold Bitcoin on your balance sheet as a bank, or to hold Bitcoin as an asset on your balance sheet, you have to count it as a liability. And so when you have a liability as a bank, you have a reserve ratio you need to meet for your liabilities. So, you know, for Bitcoin, I think it was 2-to-1 or something like that. So you had to over collateralize every Bitcoin you had with double the value in T-bills or bonds or cash.
Heaven forbid you make this thing solvent. Heaven forbid you make the company solvent.
Yeah, so they don't. So that
advice.
used to be what they wanted you to do. Now the law has been rescinded, so you can actually hold Bitcoin and not have to over collateralize it. Because let's face it, Bitcoin is an asset, a volatile one, sure, but it's an asset. It's not a liability on your balance sheet.
It's all bullshit. I don't give a fuck with it.
I know you don't. But I'll tell you right now, you're wrong. And the reason you're wrong is because what you actually want to see here is these guys holding Bitcoin, and you want to see the continued institutionalization of the asset, because
then let them do it the proper fucking way.
This is the proper way. This is the proper way.
This ain't the fucking proper way. The proper way is you do it. You don't let somebody else hold on to your fucking Bitcoin. Holding on to 12 words, it is not fucking hard. Why does somebody else have to do it for you?
We talked about this.
You don't fucking.
We talked about it.
And we'll
you're yelling at the clouds again. You're yelling at the clouds.
I'm not yelling at the clouds. Joey, I could tell you for a fact, I know that my Bitcoin, where it is, I trust nobody else but myself that Bitcoin is there.
Yeah.
Anybody that's using this service cannot say the same thing.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I don't think you're wrong.
If they want to get their fucking Bitcoin on Christmas Day, 2 a.m. They don't have access to the fucking.
That's correct.
I do.
Yeah.
So I don't give a shit what you fucking say. I don't have to ask anybody for permission.
Yeah.
I don't have to deal with any fucking borders.
No.
I just do it, transact. Nobody fucking knows because I broadcast with my own fucking node.
Yeah.
Fuck off, man. Like that's the way it should be. This is Bitcoin. Everything else, if you're gonna just melt it into fiat, it's fiat.
I'm not saying
that's all it is.
I'll just point out that I think there's this idea in Bitcoin, and you're not the only person who has this idea. So, don't view this as like a personal shot, but there's an idea in Bitcoin that this continuum of custody and understanding is the same for everybody, and it's just not. And so when I hear people say they want to use the bank to hold their Bitcoin, I don't assume that same person with a little more coaching and a little more effort and a little more determination could get to a cold card. Not everyone can.
I'm not talking about an individual. I'm talking about a fucking corporation here.
Yeah,
you presume to have the fucking.
Yeah, they can't do it. They can't do it for legal reasons or for board reasons.
Legal
governance reasons.
They just don't want to fucking do with it.
It's not how governance
12
works.
Fucking words.
It's not how governance works. It's not. Maybe it is in the future, but between stuff like auditors and oversight committees and all that sort of thing, like insurance for boards as well, like. Those are things that are legal requirements. And so until self-custody works its way into that framework, you're not going to see it. I know you want to see it, but it's not. Yeah, it's not about
Nobody's
that.
done it.
You're putting the cart before the horse. That's the problem. You got to think about the horse.
We have companies that have Bitcoin on their balance sheet.
They don't have boards. They don't have boards. They don't have boards.
I'm looking at fucking Tesla, man. I have no proof, no definitive proof that Tesla does not secure their own Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I hear Arkham may say something, but I've read Arkham says other bullshit. I forget what they said in the past, but it was totally that MicroStrategy was moving their Bitcoin. Yeah. So whatever, Arkham could say one thing, but it's just
he's like everyone else, right? He's after clicks.
So you know what? Tesla, they run their own fucking node. So
do they? Is that a confirmed thing?
The last I recall, yes, they run their. Wasn't it Elon that said this a few years ago?
We should look and see. I mean, we could look it up. Who custodies Tesla's Bitcoin?
You'll never find a definitive answer for this. I've tried looking for this. It will all point to Arkham, and like I said, Arkham. They said that fucking.
I mean, my guess, like I said, my guess is that, especially a guy like Elon, who's been under the microscope for a lot of different reasons, like. There's rules about insuring these boards and liabilities for the board members and stuff like that. And so to get certain levels of insurance and to be operational and functional as a board, you have to follow certain rules. I'm not saying the ideal is not what you're describing, but at the moment, like I said, the cart before the horse. You can't until
it's just like any asset. Right?
It's not though. It's not. That's why, and that's why we like it. It's not like any other asset, and that's why we like it. But it's not. But it also presents risks that these guys and their subsidiaries are not necessarily willing to take. That's all.
That's what I want to hear. They're not willing to take it. It's not they can't take it. They're not willing to take it.
Well, the insurers and stuff are not for sure. Yeah, 100%.
Come on, if you present enough money for this stuff, you could get anything fucking insured. I could get the various fucking insured sitting next to a plane. You know what I mean? Like I could get anything fucking insured if I could go Lloyd's of London. They'll fucking do it for me. Anything is possible, Joey. If you present enough money, you present a strong business case, you get anything done.
Yeah.
And
but I mean, it doesn't make sense for those boards to go. It doesn't make sense for those boards to spend all that money, all that time when they can go to Citi. Like that's the point, right?
Maybe it's not that much. We're just assuming. We don't know.
We don't know.
Properly multi-sig, or you have enough people.
I think it's a pipe dream. What's the difference? I bet you if we're still doing this show in a decade, I bet you in 2036 we still don't see companies custodying their own
what's
coin.
The difference between Citi holding it and them holding it? What's the mechanism in order to get access to
the definitions around Citi, right? That's the whole point of the quote unquote qualified custodian. These rules are put in place the bank, for example, doesn't like that term because it looks good on a business card. Right?
I'm asking on a practical point. I'm not asking for the way this views it. I'm talking practicality. What's the difference between Citi holding it and the board, or not the board, the company itself holding it?
Insurance is one great one.
Getting it. Think about it. If you have to go to Citi or Coinbase or whoever to get access to your Bitcoin, is it just a phone call, an email? Like, it 10 people phone calling? I'm not sure. 10 people email? You know what? Whatever it is in terms of how many people are required to do it, multi-sig that.
You may need, for example, like most boards, the board I'm on, I know, like there's, an executive committee that has some extra board powers, extra governance powers. But even still, like, the whole point of something like a bank holding your Bitcoin is to add a check and balance in the thing, right? So, you might be able to convince 2 board members it's a good idea to do the multi-sig, but convincing 2 board members isn't enough. You also have to get the right signature for the bank to do it, right? That's the whole point of having the custodian
you have
involved.
to beg the bank to fucking give it. Fuck that.
You're framing it incorrect. You're framing it incorrectly. It's not about begging. It's not about begging the bank. It's about protecting the asset from your board.
Bitcoin, the best way to do it, like we said at the very
beginning, it's good for you and me.
Show,
it's good for you and me. But I'll tell you, as someone who's done governance boards for more than a decade, that you want to see stuff like this.
That's
from
fair.
Time to time.
But as we said at the beginning of the show, and we were all in agreement then. Put your Bitcoin into cold storage. Don't let the ETFs hold on to this shit because they could potentially manipulate markets. All that stuff.
Yeah.
I believe that. I believe that stuff from beginning to end, through and through. I believe it. I bleed it. I live it.
Yeah. No doubt. I know you do. I know you do. Let's go to the notable stories. If you're with us on audio, you come back tomorrow. But if you're on video with us live, hang in. We're not going anywhere. Come back in like 1 or 2 seconds, and we'll talk to you about what's sure to be a action-packed notable North story, notable international story section.
It's fucking full, yeah. Whatever. Don't be a cock.
All right. Where do you want to start for notables?
Let's talk about Iran, man. Iran.
Sure.
Since, and I told Boomer this, since Hogan died, the world has gone to hell in a handbasket, right? Like Khamenei was fucking controlling this, making sure that everything was going fine.
Well, it just sucks. Like Trump now, he was Mr. No Wars, and now he looks at a war the same way a fucking pack of Marlboros looks at me after my 3rd beer.
In like what,
2
months, they went in and got Maduro, the cartel guy. I know the Mexican
got that, yeah, but they don't get him for sure.
Right. And now you have Iran
or whatever. They got that guy too.
Which one?
What's the guy's name? Not Khamenei. I forget the guy's name. Is the Supreme Khamenei? Is that what it is? I forget now, but
whatever.
I told Andreas to use him in the thumbnail. I don't know if he did it or not.
And not just that, the United States, now you got after Iraq not too long ago. Now Iran, a neighbor, doing Syria, another neighbor.
You see this guy, the former Jewish PM, Freudian slip there. The former Israeli PM talking about how Turkey is the new Iran. Like, these guys are just so thirsty for blood. That's unbelievable. Keep
going.
Holy fuck, man.
Syria, we're not stopping over there. Let's keep going fucking north. Turkey, you're next.
You know what I didn't know? I saw on Twitter, I don't know if it's legit, but I guess the IDF have like a patch on their uniforms. And the patch is a geographic area that doesn't exist on any modern map. It's called Greater Israel. And it involves like Turkey, Palestine, like a bunch of different places that are right now not Israel. They're their own countries.
Maybe one day.
Well, it sounds like that's the plan, I'm not 100% sure, but
for the people that are in power though, with all this being done, not talking about Epstein anymore.
No, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
It's totally off the.
Well, the thing is, people online are still talking about it a lot, but the news is not. The news is not.
They threw aliens. They tried throwing that one out there. Nobody fucking bit. So you know what? Let's fucking attack Iran, right? Like, wasn't it not too long ago? I think it was in June or July of last year that Trump said that they have totally dismantled their nuclear plan.
Do you know that post is still on the White House website? They didn't even take it down.
Why should they? Because it's true. They went in and they bombed the particular buildings over there that dismantled their nuclear program. Yeah. But you know what? Within 9 months, that shit was rebuilt again. That's why they had to fucking do it. I don't know, man. One thing about all this though, but between Maduro, what happened in Iran, and even in Beirut too, the precision of the attacks is incredible.
I'll say this, Len, you're right. And it seems to me like they're not interested in laundering money for the war machine for 4 years or 5 years anymore. They're interested in doing what they came to do and getting out.
Yeah, they want. Everyone knows what the fuck they want is.
He can't have this war going on still at the midterms, right? Like that would be a disaster if he still had it going on.
I don't know how you're going to get Iran to walk away from this and say, guys, we're going to sign something, some sort of agreement.
Oh, they're not going to. You saw that? Did you watch the guy on 60 Minutes yesterday?
I didn't see it.
They had the guy like queued up to go on 60 Minutes. He's the transitional leader or whatever. Like, oh my God, tell me more about this.
You'd be a fucking traitor. You know the funny thing about this too, Ursula, whatever the hell her name is,
von der. Yeah.
Did you see after the bombing started in Iran? She said we're gonna do a meeting on Monday morning. We're gonna
get right back to you.
I love the fact that this isn't urgent enough. We deal it now. We're gonna do it this first thing Monday morning. I love that. Thank you. Another thing I noticed too, on the weekend, fucking Trump.
Yeah,
that fucking hat.
I love it.
USA. You love it. He looks like
it's hilarious. I think it's hilarious.
A shotgun wearing that fucking
hat.
I
know. Who cares? He's an old man. He's in his old man hat phase now. He looks ridiculous no matter what hat he has on. I love it.
Oh, the Polymarket bets too. Somebody was able to make. It's beautiful stuff.
It's insider info for make your living off it, man. I love that.
Yeah, well, let them do it. It just goes to show you that we're so far away from power. We're watching this thing unfold, and we're just fucking pawns. And the name too, Epic Fury.
We're not even. We have a Polymarket we could be making money on. I haven't even looked.
We're not
at
even
it.
fucking manipulating that. No,
I'm terrible at this. I'm terrible.
No, not terrible. We have fucking integrity. That's what it is. But the Epic Fury name, Joey. Like he must have asked Siri, give me a fucking name. That's gonna.
Well, didn't the Israelis name
Epic
something
Fury,
different too? It was like
name.
Wasn't it like Rising Tiger, Hidden Dragon or something? I saw Shapiro talking about it. By the way, Shapiro's eyebrows now taking up about 4 inches of space on his forehead. They're just like caterpillars, those fucking things. And he's talking about it's like Rising Lion, Hidden Tiger, or something like that. Rising Roaring Tiger, Roaring Lion,
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Someone in the chat will tell me if you're on whatever.
There's a movie, it's Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm being facetious a bit, but it's called like Roaring Lion or something. And I'm just like, who is this for? Like, is this really boomer catnip? Is this all it takes now to get people to sit in front of their TVs and cheer on Raytheon as they make another $1 billion killing minorities on the other side of the world?
Did you see what happened in Texas too?
Yeah, shocker. You can,
and
listen.
Then in Canada,
are we going to talk about shootings and killings and immigrants right now? Are we moving to that topic? Because I can talk about
more
that.
of a general topic. Because I just want to point out that even Canada is not immune from this too. No. Some guy, I think in Richmond Hill, has a gym, and he hung the flag and he had it there for a while. The the flag from before 1979 of Iran.
Yeah,
and so he hung it proud. Obviously, he wasn't for this guy. He was more for the Shah. They shot up his place. I think 17 bullets. They shot up his. Like there are people here in Canada too that are,
they're low IQ religious zealots who are, chances are if you're from that part of the world, you have some inbreeding in your lineage.
No, they're IRGC people. It's not this. It's just they are part of that. They can't.
Len,
they're here.
Still the same thing, man. Still the same problems. Like if you,
I'm not gonna. They may be the same problem, but I'm not gonna say they're low IQ or something. They're just following the.
I mean, whatever.
So something we don't believe in.
Yeah,
and
it's retarded. It's retarded. These people,
yeah,
like
they certainly are.
There is coming a time here in Canada where, and like I've said this before, people throw around this word remigration online, Tyree specifically, and the Dominion guys. Like, I don't agree with the sort of racial element of their platform, but I got to tell you, I'm seeing remigration in a lot of places on Twitter now and on Instagram and basically everywhere I look, on YouTube Shorts. Like, I see it everywhere. I realize part of that is probably like a self-fulfilling flywheel that I, watch a video once and now I get fed them all the time. But it's from people you don't really otherwise note as remigration people or halting third world immigration people. I'll give you a good example. I was on Twitter earlier today and bookmarked a video from Peter Bohazian, who you may know. He's like a philosopher, pretty mild-mannered, level-headed guy. Puts out a video today. It's 3 minutes long. I have to watch it still. The title is France and Western Europe are collapsing. We need a real talk about Islamic immigration, economics, and sovereignty before it's too late. That's a mainstream guy with, 250,000 followers on Twitter. I think that what's happening, and this is related to the stuff going on in Scotland where that immigrant stabbed a bunch of people and then went to hide out in his taxpayer-funded apartment smiling out the window. It's happening in Texas, obviously, where guys wearing Property of Allah shirts are shooting up bars. And it's happening here in Canada where, we're seeing not necessarily a lot of like Islamic terrorism, but we've talked many times about like the Indian crime spree in Southern Ontario, Vancouver and Surrey and whatnot. And I think a lot of people now who were sort of fans of this policy on its face because it made them feel good about being a compassionate country and a compassionate person, they're only able to feel that way until the crime and the problems are at their doorstep. And I think a lot of people now, especially in the upper echelon of society, if you're living in one of these big cities, it's no longer just a theoretical thing. And the conversation around this is no longer a rhetorical one for you. Maybe it's happened to someone or someone has been exposed to it, through some way, some means. And I think a lot of people now who have resources and reputations that they're willing to, put on the line to amplify this message are saying, hey, I don't like the way this is going. And I want some answers about how we got here and how we're going to fix it. And rightfully so. You and I have seen these things in our lives, probably more than we care to admit, crime and whatnot. And, we both have young kids and your daughter's already in school. Mine is not. But, one of the things I consider often is what am I going to do when I decide where she goes to school? There's a school not far from here that I would like to send her to. But if the demographics in that school shift against me, and I'm using that term purposely, then why would I send her there? Why do I want her to feel like a stranger in her own community? And these are difficult conversations, but let's face it. They aren't racial conversations. Many people who came here in the 80s and 90s are many different colors and races and, even religions. They're all good people. They're good Canadians. Now, these are the guys who are cheering on the Leafs. These are the guys who, when I go to the bar to watch a hockey game in the playoffs, like there's black guys, Chinese guys, Indian guys, like no one cares about color. What I care about is culture. What I care about is your jib, the cut of your jib, like I like to say these days. And I don't see the cut of people's jibs really jiving with what Canada is all about, what made us great for so many years. And I think it's good that a lot of people are saying, hey, we've had it with this. And Carney, in his recent, quote unquote, agreement with India for more students, more two-way visas, he's getting pasted, and rightfully so. I don't think any Canadian wants that in this country anymore.
Youth unemployment. What's the alternative? The other guy, his main opposition was for this type of stuff not too long ago, but wind's blowing different directions.
Do you he just did an interview on Peter Mansbridge. I'm about halfway through. I wanted to finish watching it before tonight, but I didn't have time. Maybe I'll watch it.
Mansbridge is still doing shit.
Mansbridge does a podcast. It's pretty good because Mansbridge is more conservative than you think. I'll tell you that.
He was very fair. I thought.
Yes,
I thought.
I agree.
I liked it. Yeah, he was really good.
And so he does a Polyev interview, and you know how that Mansbridge does not revere any person in power. He doesn't ever call Mark Carney Prime Minister Carney. He just calls him Carney or Mark Carney during the interview with Polyev. And I think that's a tell. Now, whether you agree with that or not is completely up to you. But I like to see reverence earned and not imbued in certain situations. And that's one of them, especially with the media.
Do you think that there's going to be any change in power in a little while? I don't.
Good question. So. I mean, but you know what? Me and you have talked off the air and sort of had these like discussions about whether or not there's going to be an election with Mark too. Like
no, never mind even an election. The election could happen or not, but will there be a change in power period in the next 2, 3, 4 years?
I don't know. Doesn't it seem like both parties are kind of positioning for a fight though? A little bit.
Doesn't, right? Or does?
It does kind of. Like Carney has great numbers in polls, but seems to be in election mode. And Polyev
have to be in a
I guess
minority government, but I just don't see it because still the one party that they're going to have to play ball with is the NDP. Yeah. And I think it's this month they get their leader. Maybe after they get their leader, they'll fucking.
Who you got? Who's on your list? Who's it going to be?
No,
It's
I'm
going to
not
be
even following that.
Avi whatever, or the guy with the
guy with the
Union
beard
guy. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I don't even have a clue. I'm not following. A lot of polls are showing that they're going to get 0 seats after an election. If they have an election now, they'll just wiped off the face of the Canadian political landscape, which would be interesting. But either way, I mean, I'm digressing. Can't see without them playing ball. It's hard to call an election unless the only thing that could happen is they rip up the CUSMA trade agreement, and then Carney says, you know what, I need a mandate, and then that mandate. The only way to do that is I got to go to the polls.
Yeah.
And that's the only way. So, but then that's a summer election.
Well, I think we talked about this, right? It's going to be a dual specter election call if there is one. The separatist movement in Alberta and the trade agreement with the
now,
US.
You have that with now going back. Does there change in the policy about students and all this shit? Probably not. He might get lambasted. Now,
if Polyev had any political instincts, which he does not, unfortunately, he's sort of an empty vessel for whoever's running their campaign over there. If he had any political instincts, he would go like waist deep on no more immigration above a certain level from one country. Like that would be the policy. Not no immigration from India. He won't do it.
He might. Who the hell knows? I mean, if that's the way the winds are blowing, and I called this out 4 years ago, I think it was 4 fucking years ago. I called this out about him. Is that he will go whichever way the winds are blowing. He did it with fucking Bitcoin, and I said it at that particular moment. And he did it with so many other things. Fucking immigration was another one that I just said a moment ago. Whichever way it's going, he will go that way. Like I say, the guy, his goal is to get into power. He'll do whatever he can to get there, and once he gets there, he'll do whatever he can to maintain that power, just like everybody else does. It's not about ideologies. It's about just the power itself. And sometimes you have to give up on a particular hill that you were going to fight on just because, you know what, it's not worth fighting. Sometimes it is.
I look forward to seeing who the next conservative leader is, because I think the conservatives are like, if I had to guess what they're thinking, they are thinking they need somebody from the business community. And I would say they need somebody from the labor community.
There's more than that, Joey, because they have to deal with being a federalist party, and also Alberta. They have to somehow appease the people that want to have separation.
Yes,
they cannot lose support in Alberta and still have any hope of winning an election. They won in 2011 without Quebec. Very rarely happens.
Mm-hmm.
They cannot do the exact same thing and then not have Alberta and win an election. That will never happen.
Yeah.
So they painted themselves into a corner. Is they want to still remain a federalist party, but still they got to get into bed with these people in Alberta. That ones that there's a lot of people out there that want it to see this thing separate. How do you get them to vote conservative when conservatives probably won't talk about this issue?
Yeah, I see Boomer in the chat too, talking about like a few younger MPs on the conservative side. I think I know a few of the names, like that one woman who's pretty commonly like, making headlines. But yeah, and there's a second comment from Boomer. No one seems ready. They're not ready. And I think a lot of them are tarnished by the current state of the party too, like Lanceman and these other people who have been sort of mainstays. Like they're not tenable. Like you said, Len, like national party leaders. No, they're not. They're not going to be able to do it.
Going back when Harper was there, the party was very Harper centric.
Harper, who's suddenly a Carney liberal, by the way. Very strange.
I did not know that.
Yeah, loves
That's
him.
Interesting.
Yeah,
but it was very Harper centric. Once Harper was removed from that party, there was a huge void that couldn't be filled internally because they didn't have somebody in waiting. They didn't have like a Paul Martin's, for instance.
Right.
So without that, and now they're 10 years later, they're still trying to find that person. Just like the liberals were fucking after Paul Martin left, they were fucking years before they fucking say what you want about Trudeau. He was an election animal. He fucking won every election he fucking ran. He won it every time.
Yeah.
So he was very good in certain environments, and whatever. It was one thing I mentioned too. Canada, we stand with Ukraine, right? We still stand with them because
to the tune of 2 billion more or something.
2
like that.
billion, 400 armored cars are going to be.
Wait, how do we have these cars? Are they EVs?
No, they get the good ones, and I
Oh,
think some are going to have to be manufactured, from what I understand. It's just got some new ones.
nice.
Anyways, so now it's 25 billion in total that's been committed to Ukraine, and Canada currently has about 1,500 armored cars. Sorry, 15,000 armored cars. My mistake. So 400 is kind of a drop in the bucket, but I think there's going to be some new ones that are going to be coming down the pipe for these guys. Anyways, I stand with these guys. The flag is going up in my bio. I like this $2 billion commitment. Let's accelerate this thing. Keep it going, Carney.
Do you know the kid singer Raffi?
No.
Does anyone in the chat who has a kid know this guy Raffi? I'd be curious.
Torres?
No. No. Wow, an NHL reference not from 1994. Who could have seen it coming? Yeah, so I see a yep in the chat about Raffi. My wife today told me that what were we talking about? We are talking about something to do with Raffi. I forget what. Oh, because Raffi said something about Austin Matthews coming back and getting booed by Leafs fans after visiting the White House. I mean, Raffi's a fucking loser anyway, but I asked my wife if she was sure it was him, and she's like, yeah, go look. So I went to his Twitter. I'm fucking blocked. The guy has me blocked. He's like a famous children's artist. And I said to my wife, I'm like, I don't even know when this happened. This is a pretty good scalp.
You will never know when it happens.
I will never know. But in his bio, he's got
puck move, by the way.
In his bio, he's got climate emergency. I stand with Ukraine. Ecology, baby belugas, and he's got a new song out. Len, guess what the name of the song is?
I can't even fucking have a clue.
ABC Democracy. What do you think that's about? Without even listening to
look, I don't
guarantee it's political. I guarantee it's about Trump or something. Like, just these people on a long enough time horizon.
Why
everyone outs themselves as a political?
Why are people upset that fucking Austin Matthews went to go to the White House?
And by the way, it looks like I was going to say Maple Leaf Gardens. It looks like the Air Canada Center, whatever it's called now, cheered him pretty heavily when he got back. Guy just won a gold medal. He's your captain.
Yeah. Look, they did not allow Russia to play in the Olympics, and they could do whatever they want.
That's crazy. Yeah. Yeah.
The Olympics is it's a bunch of people. They administer it. It's a centralized platform.
Isn't it supposed to be a unifying thing, though?
It should be.
Yeah.
But you know what? They still, because it's, you have to abide by these rules. If they want to exclude somebody, they can. That's fine. We could criticize them for that, but they have the ability to do it. They did not exclude the United States from participating in the Olympics. They let them in with open arms, and they let them participate in any fucking game that they were able to play in. So why wouldn't they want to meet with the elected official of their fucking the person that was duly elected? Unless you believe the election was rigged, the guy won.
By the way, he's a celebrity apart from his time in the White House too. Like, who wouldn't want to meet that guy?
But even if it wasn't, if it was any other, if it was just Joe Blow as the president, just meeting that person is an honor going to the White House.
Yeah.
Like I say, unless you think the election was rigged, fine. Then that you can die on that fucking hill. But if it wasn't, he was duly elected, why not meet the guy?
Yeah.
All the more power. Like, that's great. Like, they represented the country. They met the guy that's leading the country. Fuck that, man. Don't get upset at that. Get upset at other things. That's bullshit to get upset at. All you're just doing is you're pushing guys like this away from staying with the Maple Leafs.
Did you watch
cool.
did you watch State of the Union last week?
No, neither of them.
So they gave
that news, the one
the important one, the one that Trump gave. He gave Connor Hellebuck, the US goalie, the Presidential Medal of Freedom. So good. So good. I love it.
That general, we'll talk about him quick.
Sure.
The guy no longer will be donating his salary. He said a little while ago when he was planning to no longer become an MP, he said he's going to work out his term as an MP because he wanted to focus on his family, saying that raging inflation and high cost of living was part of the reasons why he couldn't continually keep his salary in good conscience. Well, anyways, he posted this on his website back in November. It's now gone. You can't find that post anywhere. It's now been archived. Somebody still has it, but it's no longer. So interesting to see that he's no longer going to pledge his salary to give it away to somebody else, to some needy people or group of people or whatever. He's going to keep it. He's got every right to do that. But you know what? Love these flip-floppers.
I don't want to talk about this guy. He's a thorn in
You
my
know what?
side. I think the PM took him to India, right? Was he on the trip? I think
Yes,
he was.
And then that means they're gonna go to, I assume, to Australia and then Japan after that.
How nice. Take some pictures for me.
Yeah.
Bring me back a souvenir. I crossed the aisle and all I got was this stupid T-shirt. I want to see a T-shirt like that.
You know what? I'm not sure they went to Mumbai. I'm not sure what the weather is over there, but I think, excluding the pollution, it's probably better than it is in Ottawa. So he's baking over there in the heat.
Better traffic in Mumbai than Ottawa.
I've been to Delhi and I've been to Ottawa. And man,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So you might die. You might die going out there in India.
So I'll in New Delhi when I was there 20 years ago almost. They had a sign, and it was I don't know where the fuck it was in the city, but a sign that said how many people died on the road the day before,
and
how many people died since the beginning of the year, and it was updated daily.
God,
that's because the traffic is just so crazy that you just bump into people, and those are reported deaths.
Did you see
unreported deaths? Were just you just fucking dump the bodies to the side of the road. Never.
Did you see this video of the bus in India like 4 days ago?
No, but I've seen how people get on and off.
No. It was a
buses.
bus. It was a bus that like rolled over on the highway or something.
And it's full, those buses, right?
And
this one is full, right?
Yeah, and there was like a crowd gathered around it, and some kind of like early tech in terms of like flipping a bus over to try and get it off the road. And Len, there's literally like dead bodies squished up, falling out of the bus as they're flipping it over, and people just standing around with their hands at their sides, milling around. It's like the most India video I've ever seen. And I don't want to paint the whole country with a broad brush, but like I keep on seeing these videos. I keep on seeing like just a lack of like concern for life over there. It seems to me is like the theme of the country. And by the way, Modi talking about how he can't wait to ship all his talent here. Like India is the only country on earth that talks about getting rid of all their talent constantly. We will give you all our talent. Why? What? Well, first of all, why would you want to get rid of it? Second of all, what if we don't want it? What if I?
What does the High Commissioner of India say? That is
we got 40 million people, but the second largest landmass. You need at least 100 million people. We can help with that. I don't want
60 million.
Help. I don't want your help. More Indians, yeah. Again, like I feel like we talk on this show, and if we ever just get carried away, it makes it sound like we're like, I hate to use the word, but racist. We're not. But like enough is enough. Okay, let's not pretend like everyone is not tired of this already. We gotta stop. Let's mix things up a bit. We don't need more of that population in Canada. I don't think.
Talk about this beauty story out of Ottawa. The Ottawa Student Transportation Authority, the OSTA, they announced just last week on February 27th.
This is an incredible story.
That approximately 60 students at 5 Ottawa schools are now eligible to use the school bus services to go to school. Why? It's because the area has been designated a community hazard zone.
A no-go zone in Ottawa.
So to date, no single incident has been reported. But still, the people living there, the parents, the administration, they say that young children are not developmentally equipped to navigate environments that may be exposed to complex social issues or
just the language around this makes me want to put a fucking spike in my head. Like, what the fuck are these people talking about?
Coming complex to a neighborhood near you. This is coming everywhere. I said this maybe last week or 2 weeks ago when I was in Toronto. We moved from one area to another, and it was a very nice area. It took just 10 fucking years to see this thing this happens, and it's happening everywhere, and it will happen everywhere. So you think it's beautiful. Fuck that.
It's not going to happen here.
Just fucking wait. First development that comes in there, first home that goes for sale, you get stuff comes in and just boom, 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 and then how did this happen? Remember this show, man. It's a fucking March 2nd, 2026. I said it again.
Not gonna
fucking point to this speech. He was fucking right.
Why does Ottawa have no-go zones? How
don't
did how
know.
could by the
I
way
haven't.
by the way isn't Ottawa like in the midst of, I mean, Ottawa is the sort of the center for the public service. They're all going back 4 days a week now, or 5 days a week, whatever it is. They're presumably all going to be on public transportation. Are they, not that I'm sympathizing here with the 4 day a week crybabies, but are we really going to say that like we're going to send these people onto transit where there's quote unquote complex social issues? What does that mean?
Well,
Drug
Yo
addicts
Train
and
or whatever it
weapons
is.
and
It's
like,
yeah.
holy shit, dude. What the fuck?
I went to Ottawa once this decade. It was
Yeah.
when there was some sort of big event happening earlier this year. That's all I could say. And before that was probably 10 years ago. I went periodically. I went to watch a Senators game a bunch of times. Every time I went to Ottawa, now this is, remember, my point of view of Ottawa was like 10 plus years ago. Every time I went there, I always walked away as, man, this is a beautiful city. It's clean, seems to be safe. You can walk around. It's fucking cold in the winter. Aside from that, beautiful city. Man, now you hear stories like this. I haven't been there really in like 10 years, except for that big thing that happened earlier this decade.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about that. So you know what? It's changed a lot in just a short period of time. But like I say, this shit is happening everywhere. Every fucking where. Like, you know what? Do what you got to do, man. Like, you know, you could vote your way out of this. You could fucking think you could change your way out of this. Good luck. You know, it ain't fucking worth it. Put your time and effort into something else. Change the environment around you.
Where do you want to go next?
Europe, I think. No, let's talk about Brampton versus Hamilton. You want to do or drug use in Canada?
Oh, I guess we're coming up on an hour and a half.
We could do drug use in Canada. We could talk about Netherlands.
They did backpedal on the tax, which is surprising because it got the votes it needed to get to the second house, but then they couldn't deal with the I mean, it was probably international backlash, right?
Yeah, there was backlash. But come on, let's be perfectly honest. This is just sent back to the drawing room board, and
you saw what the U.S. What Bernie Sanders is proposing in the U.S., right?
No,
him and Warren, 5% wealth tax all over the country. Anyone worth $1 billion or more. So not just California now, but everywhere.
That's a federal tax on top of a state tax.
Yeah, the wealth tax they're calling it. So there you go. It's coming. Like I tweeted earlier. Okay, there is a uniparty issue in Canada and the United States and Europe and all these things, but the left is a special kind of illiterate parasitic in their thinking, and it's amazing to me to watch these guys propose just the worst possible ideas over and over and over again and think that they're going to be winning strategies. There's too many people talking about this stuff now. And so everyone knows that it starts at $1 billion and goes to $1 million. Then before you know it, if you own a house, you're subject to another tax because you're in the 1%.
You're wealthy,
right?
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time. And I would just recommend to people, like, we don't often discuss the obfuscation that Bitcoin can provide you in terms of the total assets you have under management. But man, does it ever sound tempting to start thinking about moving some of your quote unquote hard assets into Bitcoin. What's stopping you, for example, from like selling stocks and buying Bitcoin and forgetting about it?
If it's, if you're doing a large sum of money, then, the questions are going to, the time to have done that.
It was before for sure.
Right. Yeah, I'm not trying to justify this. I always pay your taxes, make sure you report it to the authorities, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, the time to have done it was like 10 years ago, and you could do a few $100s here, a few $100s there, go to an ATM, and just, then you could accumulate your 0.1 Bitcoin and you're able to retire. But now it's harder to do. You can do it, but it's just
crazy.
I still, one story I want to just finish up. Though.
Sure.
I know we're getting a little bit late. It's the drug use in Canada. Canadian public libraries look like it's a big place for people to use opioids.
This is happening in my city, man.
I was just going to say that I have a So the reason why, because you have accessible areas to like public washrooms and shit like that. Homeless, they have to go somewhere it's cold. And never mind your opioid use being, they freeze to death. They don't. So the library seems like a good place. And they say there's a surge in drug use in washrooms in other areas. You talked about Hamilton, the Hamilton Central Library. Paramedics were called there over 100 times since December of 2025
Yeah.
So in 3 months, 100 times they were sent out there with security administering life-saving
Yeah.
naloxone. I don't know how to pronounce that. Anyways,
Naloxone is what you give
there you go.
an opioid overdose. Yeah.
44
Fentanyl specifically.
times
Yeah.
it was done since December. It was administered by security. And also hundreds of security-related incidents since the beginning of this year. That's just the Hamilton Central Library. All through the country, there are places like this, especially in areas that is suffering cold. Homeless has to go somewhere, obviously.
Yep.
I'm not trying to justify it, but this is the reality. If you're fucking cold, you have nowhere to go. Where do you go? Somewhere that's open. McDonald's.
You got to have
Tim
those
Hortons.
doors. You got to have those. Libraries are meant to function as places for quote unquote like vulnerable people in some respects. For example, if you are somebody who doesn't have access to a computer and wants to use a computer to like look for a job or find resources on like finding a doctor or something like that, great, all for that. But asking like a G4S paladin security guard, whatever, to like administer naloxone to an OD in a bathroom at the library is too much. These libraries have become, by the way, much like many other public places, they've become environments of dangerous persons in dangerous situations around people who can't defend themselves. So think about the people who use the library, kids, the elderly, after school programs. My daughter, for example, without saying too much, goes to some community places with her, a few friends there to daycare or during daycare to see things. And, McMaster will have like a young engineers thing, or the library will have like a, building blocks thing. Like that's what libraries are for, not for drug addicts. And so I think I have the freedom to say this, given that I've spent more than a decade now working with the addictions community in Hamilton. We have to lock these people away. There has to be forced treatment for these people. You cannot answer the epidemic of drug use and the dangers related to drug use in communities by giving away naloxone and then more drugs. You can't put the rights of the individual over the rights of the community when it comes to safety. We don't do this any other place. In Canada, you can agree or disagree, but the precedent is there. We don't let people carry weapons because we think it's dangerous for the community. Well, we can't have people high on crack in the library either. And the solution cannot be arrest the guy, let him cool off in the tank, and then send him back to the street, to the dealer. It's got to be lock up. And it's going to be expensive. It's going to be time consuming. It's going to be unpopular. But much like the conversation taking place now in the upper echelons of Canadian society around things like migration and culture preservation and things like this that were out of the Overton window, 8 months ago. Honestly, I was going to say a few years, but like 8 months ago, we didn't talk about this. This is going to become one of those conversations too. And the reason is because people are not going to want to pay taxes for things like this. And as the tax burden continues to increase on profitable people, productive people, they're going to want to see some actual productive use of that money manifesting in the city where they live and where they pay those taxes. And naloxone and security guards at the library is not productive. Productive is locking these people up. Productive is making sure that when you arrest somebody with a gun, that's a 5-year minimum here. These are productive laws, right? Things like this guy in Scotland or whatever who just stabbed a couple of people for shits and giggles. Like that guy needs to be publicly executed. If you're an immigrant here and you crash a truck into somebody in Alberta and kill 2 teenagers, like publicly executed. This is the answer. And when people say, well, this sounds extreme, I say this on Twitter all the time. If you think this is extreme, just wait till what comes next. It's not like there's no precedent for this in history, okay? The things you view as extreme now, you will be begging for that type of moderation in thinking in a decade. Because people simply won't stand for this for much longer, I don't think. And between either the fleeing of productive people, who, by the way, are the ones that drive community growth and increase the value of properties and all these different things, and people just saying enough is enough, there's only two ways this goes. Either this turns into the third world country. Some parts of this country already are third world, as you just mentioned in the story earlier. No-go zones in the nation's capital. Unbelievable! What a complete failure of policy there. Either it turns to the third world, or we fix the problem, and neither is pretty. Neither is pretty. There are metaphorical bodies on both sides of that street. So we'll see. It's a little bit disappointing to have to keep talking about this, but I think it's safe to say that the moderate positions are the ones that seem extreme today. They will seem moderate in a decade from now, especially because I think where this is going to really hit in the next few years is the U.S. Like red states are not going to put up with this kind of thing, and they're just not.
Just want to give a shout out to Bitcoin Jim, who talked about on the CBP Discord. He attended an event some time ago about immigrating to the States, and he was talking about there was two different ways. I forget the two different visas he mentioned in it, but either way, a lot of people are interested in this stuff. They've been to these events, and E2 applications, EB5, those are the two. And the event that he went to, they were very good. They provided information on where to live, options including mortgages, financing, etc. And so it's just an easy way to immigrate to United States if you want to use these guys' services. They were talking about Treviso Treviso Realty, is the company that does that.
There's a lot of options.
They do these seminars. So
Jim is not
affiliated with them. He just attended it.
I bet you the Bull guys could probably point you in the right direction. The Karadza brothers could probably point you in the right direction. And if you're serious about moving, there's other friends of the show I could point you to. But one of the things I'll just note, okay, as someone who's given this some thought over the last few years, you need to set up an LLC, like a corporation of some kind of corporate structure, so that you can re-domicile a profitable company into the United States. That's the easiest way to move there. And it'll be temporary first, and you'll roll into a citizenship option over the course of 5 or 6 years, let's say. And I really think you're going to see a lot of Canadians start to do this because, why not? How many Canadians already have LLCs anyways? We have this LLC.
I have no idea, but setting one up it's not hard, but setting one up that's profitable, it does take time. And it's got to be, I assume if we're talking the same thing here, it's got to be something that could be done basically anywhere in the world. It's not
remote.
tied for you to be physically where you are right now. It could be just, like you said, a remote type job. If you could do that, a lot of different options out there, and not just United States. There are some places in the world. I think Dubai is one. I believe that's like 0% tax.
Gandalf lives out there. Dan Semperperko. Yeah, like he did it. He has his own company and did that too. Like there's guys in the Bitcoin space who listener, viewer, who can help you make that move if it's the right thing for your family. Anyway, let's get going to this.
Easiest thing to do, I'll just say quickly, is
just
ask any AI.
Yeah, that too.
How to start to move an insert country name, and then it'll at least guide you, and then you can fucking fill in the rest. You don't have to rely on what it's telling you. It at least gives you at least a generalized idea on how it's done, and you can figure out how to do it. Okay, let's do the Hamilton versus Brampton, man. What do you think?
Can you hear the heater?
No, man.
256 heat. If you want to heat your house, we're supposed to get a 16-degree day on Saturday here in Southern Ontario. So don't buy it now, but buy it Sunday when it's back to -5 and we get that next dumping of snow.
What the fuck?
Yeah. So there's a heater running behind me here that's hashing away at a pretty significant clip, man. The power drain's not that bad. I got my hydro bill today. It's obviously a little higher than it would normally be with the heater running, but you're making that money back in KYC free Bitcoin.
It's open.
Nice. Or you can run a solo opportunity or solo option and cash that lottery ticket in, hopefully, for a full block reward. You decide. Go to 256heat.com. Tuan will set you up with whatever heater works for your situation. Custom fitted options from Tuan. So pay him a visit and tell him we sent you. You get a discount, all that good stuff. 256heat.com. Okay.
I don't know. I'm just shocked. It's open. They're doing winter golf, $28 per player. You could do the Martin from 8:30 to 2 p.m.
Cool.
And if it's closing, this winter golf ends on March 8th. So this
you can play Saturday.
Yeah, the 7th falls within this. Anyways, I divert to to this. Fuck, my mind is there.
It's going to be
All right,
super muddy. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, you plug your balls like crazy. Who gives a fuck? It's if you're playing golf in the beginning of March and it's
You're actually giving
16.
the kids that work in the summer. You're helping the economy. So there you go.
Yeah, there you go. All right, we got two stories. We got a Hamilton man. We got a Brampton man. It's up to you, Joey, to figure out which one is which. So number one, we have a man charged as police warn of emerging trend involving fake GICs.
Oh,
This man was charged in
Okay.
connection with online sales of fake GICs, which police describe as an emerging trend. And they said the Fraud Bureau received multiple complaints between 2022 and 2024 from victims who were deceived by fraudulent websites claiming to be legitimate Canadian financial institutions. And they say victims typically search online for GIC investment opportunities, click on the links, directing them to counterfeit websites that closely resembled official financial institutions, and victims were solicited by individuals posing as investment advisors using email addresses and shit like that. And they would transfer funds accompanied by documents that appeared authentic, and they go off to the races. One particular resident was on the hook for being defrauded $200,000, trying to get those 4% annual gains.
Too good to be true.
So the police did their, not just 200,000. A bunch of other people lost money, but the police, they ended up getting back. They recovered $113,000. These guys with the fucking town on a lot of people. So there you go. This story about the fake GICs. This guy was selling it. Police caught up to him, and he's going to go to trial. The second story, we have a repeated physical assaults where police charge these people with suspected elder abuse and auto theft. So two people accused of setting multiple fires in a neighborhood are now facing charges of repeated physical assault and forcible confinement in a senior, as well as auto theft. And there was a suspicious fire that happened in December, and the property associated was intentionally set on fire, and $100,000 worth of damages. And they ended up catching these guys, two people, taken into custody. And police said that they have motives that the alleged arsons may have been targeted, but unclear if any injuries were reported. And they said there's also evidence to show that there's prolonged abuse of an elderly individual. And the forcible confinements, threats, use of weapons over an extended period of time. Not only that, they recovered stolen vehicles, and they were rebidding them, using that to sell cars.
This is an easy one. This is
There
so
you go.
easy. Yeah.
So you have the revinning.
The thing is that the Brampton man doesn't know about GICs. He's never considered GICs as part of his his portfolio, his scam portfolio. He's never once thought like I'm coming to Canada to scam, and so I'm gonna do it with government investment certificates, guaranteed investment certificates.
Wouldn't he just search online and this comes to like
the Brampton man? He's not resourceful in that way. He's resourceful in other ways, but he's not resourceful in that way. And also, the Brampton man has a predisposition for arson and vehicle theft. We know this about the Brampton man.
the rebidding of vehicles is more of a
We think I think this is the Brampton man working in the vehicle sector. Now, the revinning may not be done by a Brampton man, maybe done by someone else, but I think the man at the arsonist is a Brampton man, I think, because it just doesn't seem likely to me that the Brampton man is operating in the GIC realm. Do I have that right?
No. Yeah.
No.
100% wrong. So it's a 63-year-old Brampton man was charged. John Marshall from Brampton.
Damn.
He was the.
Well, there's my problem right there. Okay.
And in the Hamilton, it was two young folks, a 28-year-old Nicholas Tomasetti and a 23-year-old Kayla Harris. Those are the two in Hamilton. So yeah. So I try to find one that's the background.
That's a big loss for me. That's a tough one. Tough pill to swallow.
It's hard to
I wasn't expecting the Brampton guy to be named John Marshall. How could I have seen that coming?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a
Not a
wild
big pool to
card.
draw upon, but when I find a story like that, you can fucking rest assured I'm fucking picking that guy as a story. But that's it. Yeah, so
That's it.
63-year-old. What was his name? Fucking John Marshall. Yeah.
Selling GICs. Yeah, I guess I should have known. It was an older guy.
Yeah, you know what? I'll leave it. Here's the private chat. You could even post this if you want to.
Oh, yeah, yes.
The picture of
What
John
it looks
Marshall.
like here. Here, we'll put it in the YouTube chat here. We can all enjoy it together. Let's have a look. Wait, it didn't load. Oh, there we go. Okay. Oh, nice. The glasses, eh? Holy
He was
shit.
caught, man. He was fucking
Love
caught.
that. Arrested.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, defrauded of 200. That's crazy, man. Oh my god. What do you do? What is the mechanism through which you would sell a fake GIC?
Well, you don't. You are just simply taking the money. There's nothing going the other way.
Yeah.
Fake certificates he's printing off or whatever.
I guess, yeah. He's doing
Or
he's at the
emails.
Montreal textile plant from Axis of Easy selling
Well, you're not even saying there's nothing physical. It'd be a PDF.
yeah.
So it'd be very simple to do.
Huge
You
dub.
just get like an actual GAC, just change it and use a PDF editor. And
We could have fixed this with digital IDs, but oh well. Anyway,
yeah,
that's
this wouldn't
it for
happen in Europe. You could tell.
No, no.
He'd be fucking
No
before
one
he
has
even
any
thinks about
money.
it.
No one has any money to buy anything out there anyway. Let's wrap it up. Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. Come back on I was going to come back Thursday, but it won't be live. We'll see you when we see you next. But look out for the Scott Horton interview coming on the channel pretty soon. Until the next time we see you, take care of yourselves.
Don't be a John Marshall.